that is a good sound to hear. I cannot believe that I am recording another episode. Wow, it's been very, very long, and I just like opening up GarageBand on my computer. I had to brush off some dust, got my microphone out and all the cords and setting it up. It was like riding a bike, which was nice, but also a little bit sad because it has been a while. Well, I act like it's been forever. That was my last episode was in January. So it is Saturday, May 28th that I am recording this episode. And you guys, I'm ready. I feel like I've got some new ideas. I have a lot that I am excited to share with you. So let me just pull up my notes here. Yes, I do have notes. I'm an organized gal today. And yeah, well, let's get into it. It's season 2. We are starting fresh with Traffic Jam with Cam. So sorry, I did not even say welcome back to Traffic Jam with Cam. I am excited that you guys are here and that you're listening, and we are there's a lot to unpack today, and I am excited to get into it. So this episode is mostly meant to be like a welcome back episode and kind of talking about what's going to be coming up in season 2, things like that. So I wanted to start off just kind of talking about why I even made Traffic Jam with Cam and like what I want the podcast to be moving forward. And I kind of talked about this in the previous episode, kind of at the end of last season, like how I was struggling with figuring out where I wanted the podcast to go. And it was super fun. Like it was still really an enjoyable, creative thing for me to do, but I just felt like there wasn't really a direction with it. And maybe we're going to get a few episodes in and I'll be like, okay, there's no direction. We're just doing this, and maybe that's fine. And that's what my brand is. But I've been spending a lot of time figuring out really what I want this brand to be, this podcast to be about, and like have a purpose. I feel like just in general, when there is a purpose to something and like meaning behind it, that a project can be a lot more effective and I don't know, more meaningful. So hopefully that makes sense. I wrote down some of my ideas and kind of I took time to sit down and be like, okay, what is this podcast about? And so these are a couple notes that I wrote and kind of what I'm really wanting to get out of this and what I'm wanting to share with you guys. So I want this podcast to be like a platform that I use to create a sense of community, like to help other people navigate post-grad life / beginning of adult life. And this is not like just for these people, but I feel like since that is kind of the stage of life that I am in right now, that hopefully my experiences or like struggles that I'm going through could be helpful and relatable for other people that are kind of in that time of life, and maybe just entertaining for people that might not be going through that. But I hope that these things can be relatable. And when I first started this podcast, I was like, okay, I can give other people advice. Like I can, from the experiences that I've had, maybe this can be like an advice podcast. And as I've kind of been brainstorming about what episodes I want to have coming up and what I know that I can actually talk about, I'm realizing I am not at all qualified to give advice about this phase of life that I'm going through right now, because I have no idea what the heck I'm doing. Like I need other people's advice. However, I do think that sharing like past experiences and what helped me get through those times can be helpful. So I'll just do what I do best and just tell stories. But yeah, and also just kind of talk about what's happening right now and what I'm doing to try to figure it out, because I gotta tell you, I'm a little lost right now in this phase of life, but that is fine. Like, I'm realizing I don't have to have everything figured out. I always thought that I did. I thought that I just always needed to have this plan. I'm like such a planner, but also such a dreamer. And I just thought that I need to have life figured out and planned out, and that would like make me successful. And so now I feel like I'm at this point in my life where, like, for the first time, I have no idea what's going to happen. And that's kind of scary, but also I'm like, okay, this happens to other people too. It's all right if I don't have everything figured out. And so we're going to figure it out together. So that's, you guys see what I'm talking about? Good thing I wrote some notes. I got to get back on course because I'm just rambling. Okay, so the name Traffic Jam I came up with first because jam rhymes with cam, of course, but it also came from my hate of traffic, which is in full throttle living in the DC area. As much as I hate cheesy metaphors, in Traffic Jam with Cam, we talk about the traffic jams, that's in quotes, the traffic jams of life, which is like the post-grad phase, being an adult, and all the other struggles in between. So a quick intro about me if you're new. I am a recent college grad. I graduated in 2021, spring last year. So it's been a year, and I'm 1 year into my first full-time adult career. I am living in Washington, D.C. with my husband, and I have a pet tortoise. I'm originally from Idaho. I grew up there. I went to school there. I am totally a West Coast girl. West Coast, I guess that kind of makes it sound like I live by the coast. I don't. I live in Idaho, but the West, that is my place, and I have grown to appreciate it more living on the East Coast. So I am living in Washington, D.C. right now. We've been here also for a year. My husband and I moved here right after I graduated college for his job. So we've been living in the D.C. metro area for over a year now, and it's not my favorite place ever. We're trying to figure out right now when we're going to be moving back west, because that is just where our people are and just closer to where we grew up, and we just really love the West. So that's a whole nother thing that we're trying to figure out right now. But another thing about me is that I have a lot of passions. They're just quite a lot of things that I could talk about that I just love. I'm just passionate. I'm a passionate person. But I get excited about a lot of things. I love to dance. I love to tell stories. I love making art. I love making new friends, and I love exploring new places. So those are a couple things about me. I really want to share relatable content. I know we kind of already talked about that, like things I've learned when I'm struggling with. And you guys know from my last episode, or my last few episodes probably, I was really lost and I didn't know what to do with my podcast, but also I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. I was so stressed about my job. I was stressed about living in a new city. I was struggling with like mental health. And so taking a break from everything and like getting myself grounded was just definitely what I needed. So I have spent a lot of time these last few months, I guess it's been more than a few months, 5 months, just for figuring out myself, I guess, like a time of self-discovery, you could say. So we talked about how I'm wanting to move back west, and Adam too. We're both like, all right, we're ready to go. So that is in the works, possibly sometime this year. We're just missing our families and wanting to be closer to that. And also we moved here really for Adam's job, and moved here thinking that he would be working in the office regularly. Right now the job that he has, he's assigned to work in DC, so we thought that's what would be happening, but he's been working from home still. He's able to work remotely, which is awesome. But if he's gonna work remotely and we could be closer to our families, then that would be a win-win. So we're definitely trying to figure that out right now. Anyway, we are busy making the most of living in DC. We do quite a bit. We try to do quite a bit, like throughout the week and weekends. We have a bucket list that we're still trying to cross things off of. So we're staying busy with that, and that's been fun. Seriously, there is like so much to do here. We just aren't wanting to live here forever. So we've gone on some adventures since then. Let's see, a few weeks ago, no, less than a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, we went to Virginia Beach, which I will definitely tell you guys more about because that was awesome. We went to Virginia Beach. In February, we went to Shenandoah National Park. Is it a national park? Anyway, you can do like tons of hikes there, and it's like towards West Virginia, so it's like a couple hour drive. And we went and did a hike there with some friends. That was really cool to see a different part of Virginia. We went to a Caps game, Capitals, the hockey team. I've been doing more dance classes. That has been a dream come true, for real. That has like saved my butt. In March, we went to the Cherry Blossom Festival that's here in DC. There are tons of cherry blossom trees all around the tidal basin that's in DC, and so we got to go walk around and see all of the trees there. Actually, it was like pretty cold still in March. We did that. What else? We went to the Library of Congress. Adam's mom came to visit. That was really fun. She's come once before, but we got to do some other things with her that we hadn't gotten to show her when she came the first time, so that was really fun. We also Adam and I, and also our friend Hannah, we did a 5K. Believe it or not, I ran the whole 3 miles, and I also got my fastest time. So that was at the end of March. We were training for that for a while, so that was pretty cool. That was fun because it gave me something to work towards. Bern, he's still alive and well. A couple months ago, he woke up from his hibernation. He doesn't like sleep the whole winter, like not wake up, but pretty much the whole winter. Like when it's cold, he sleeps most of the day, maybe sometimes moves around, but he like barely eats. So now he's active. Now that the sun is out and it's getting warmer, he is moving around a lot more and eats like almost every day, which is pretty cool. What else did we do? In April, we went to the Botanic Gardens. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is one of the coolest places ever in DC. The Botanic Gardens are right by the Capitol building, and they were closed like the whole time of COVID. And while all the other museums and everything started to open up, the Capitol has pretty much been closed this whole time, and then also the Botanic Gardens that are super close to the Capitol. So that was like the place that I had been wanting to see the most when we moved here, and it has been closed this whole year, and it just opened in April, and it was the coolest thing ever. It has a bunch of different rooms that you can walk through with all the different plants from different like climates, I guess. And it's free, of course. It's a Smithsonian. All the Smithsonian museums are free. And they have like a desert room with tons of cacti. They have a giant jungle room right in the middle with like this big atrium, I guess it's called. Like the ceiling is glass, and you like walk in through the door there, and it's like muggy, and there's mist and feels like a jungle. There's a room that has different crops. There's a room that had this like waterfall with all these flowers that were growing out from around the rocks. So it was pretty cool. There were like succulents and tons of different flowers. I'm looking through the pictures right now. That was really cool. If you ever come to DC, add that to your list, because I was so excited that opened. I went bowling with some of my friends. I have found like the coolest friend group here in DC, which when we move, I'll be really sad to leave, because I met this huge group of awesome girls that I go to church with, and they're just so much fun, and we get together pretty often to have like dinner called the supper club. Everyone like makes a dish and brings it, and we get together to like share our dishes that we make. But yeah, and we went bowling together once, and we go and like have dinner. We also have a group too that like plays volleyball at our church every Wednesday night, and that has been really fun to do. So every Wednesday night is volleyball night, and my skills are getting better. I'll tell you that. I am not a good volleyball player, but I've gotten better. If you have known me for a long time, you might know that in middle school, I was one of the only ones that did not make the volleyball team. Like, so many people tried out, and there's like an A team and a B team, and I really wanted to play volleyball. My sister was good at it. The cool girls at school were good at it, like the girls that were older than me too. And I was just like, yeah, maybe volleyball is going to be my thing. And I don't know how many girls tried out. 30, maybe 30 girls tried out. And I think maybe 3 didn't make it. And I was definitely one of those. So if that tells you anything, that should tell you that I'm not a volleyball player. But these Wednesday night volleyballs have been very fun. And if not for the competitive part of the sport, the social part that's definitely good for me. Oh, also the Washington DC temple opened, and that was really, really cool to see. It's been closed like also the whole time that we have lived here, and it just opened the open house at the end of April, and we got to go and tour it and walk around the inside, and I cannot believe how busy it is. It's so cool that so many people get to go and walk around and like see all the rooms inside, because usually it's closed for only people that have a recommend, or that live by the certain standards can go inside. And so for it to be open for the public and people can tour around and look at the inside and all the different rooms and places of worship inside, that was really cool to get to see. It is huge. It looks like a big Disney castle on the outside, so that was really fun to see. What else? I have been learning how to do more digital art. Yeah, I'll have to show you guys sometime. I've been learning like some graphic design stuff, and so that has kept me pretty busy. Yeah, and then our Virginia trip. Yeah, I'll tell you more about that next episode, because that was really fun. But anyway, that was a quick summary of me looking through my photos of what like places we've been and like things that we've done since we've been here, since I last talked to you guys. So all of that to say, we have stayed busy with DC things, life year. I've still been working at the dental office, still a hygienist. I went down to working 30 hours instead of 40, and that was really helpful to just take a little bit more time and figure out what I'm wanting to do with that, because I have just been really struggling with the career, and I have spent a lot of time wondering what it is that I'm struggling with so much about it and why I'm just not enjoying it so much. And so I've spent a lot of time trying to figure out that too. I feel like that's taken a lot of courage to think about making a career change, or, when we move, will I change to a different office and will that make a difference? I don't know, but it's really taken a toll on my mental health. And definitely the transition of switching from graduating and like being a full-time student to like working full-time, that's a huge adjustment. But additionally, like moving here and living in DC and getting used to like the people here and this life, that is like such an adjustment too. And other things as well, like dealing with like other mental health things. So I think all of the combination of that, of course, has been really hard. I also have been talking to a counselor, which is so awesome. Oh my gosh. I hadn't ever done counseling or like therapy before, and thank goodness I started. It was really hard and scary at first to be like, okay, I need some like professional help. How are we going to do this? And now I know why people say that everyone should go to therapy, because it's just been so awesome and helpful to talk to like an outside person that doesn't like know me personally, and I can like talk to about my situation, and she just has given me really good tools to use to help in like times or like points of the day, I guess, or phases that I'm like really struggling. So that has been a blessing for sure, and I have been excited about trying to implement those things and like resources that she's given me to make life better and be happier, and how to respond when I start to get like really anxious or kind of panicky. And I think that's something that like not a lot of people talk about, which I could totally talk about more in another episode too. But yeah, I have really appreciated having someone to talk to about that, and having, I guess, hearing that that's not unusual, especially with like the situation and like season of life that I'm in right now. So I think it'd be really fun and interesting to talk more about that. And I really also have heard in other like podcasts or like YouTube channels, people that I watch, that I feel like the times now, like people are starting to open up more about things like that. And it's like so comforting to know, oh yeah, like this is maybe not normal, but happens to a lot of people, and this is how they deal with it. And I'm not weird or wrong, or like there's not something wrong with me for struggling with this or that, Oh, another thing that I wanted to say too is just that I've noticed that in these months of struggle and just a lot being on my mind, like, oh my gosh, I feel like my mind is like constantly busy and like running, thinking about different things with work and where we're living and are we going to move and what can I change and why am I not happy all the time, and different stuff like that. All of that and the struggle has really stretched me and like stretched my faith, and I feel like I still have like so much more growing and like learning to do, but looking back at where I started, I feel like I've gotten so much more reliant on God, and I believe in the power of prayer and leaning on God and like learning about the Savior like through the scriptures and So that has been another thing that has helped me tremendously, and something that I can look back and see just that this experience, even though it's been hard, has like forced me to be more prayerful and what's the word, like meaningful, I guess, with my scripture study and with praying and asking God for help, because I could not have like done this on my own. And it's also helped me become a lot closer to Adam. Like my relationship with him has gotten so much stronger as I've like depended on him a lot for support. And I'm just really lucky that he has been so supportive of me throughout like all these changes of life and emotions and struggles. Like he's definitely been a support for me too. And it's been cool also to like look back and see how our marriage has gotten stronger too with that. And we've been married for 2 years. We just had our anniversary. Oh my gosh. Crazy. 2 years is like married, you know? That's like 2 years. That's, I don't know. Anyway, I don't know if that makes sense. Married, but like that's a long time. 2 years. So that's exciting and fun. He's pretty cool. I'm a big fan of Adam. So he'll definitely be on again and we'll talk some more. So all of that, I know that was a lot of information, but that's kind of just a blah of what has all been on my mind. And I just wanted to say all that to note that I have just got a lot that I still need to figure out. Of course, we are all always figuring stuff out and learning about ourselves. I could talk about this a lot more. So good thing I'm starting the podcast again. Anyway, I'm excited to share more experiences with you guys and talk in real time about like what is going on, what's happening in life, changes that I'm making, changes that life is throwing at me. And yeah, I just want to create this community, I guess, where people feel understood and like they aren't alone navigating life like post graduation. That is like so much harder than I expected, and I feel like a lot stems from that. So even now, like it's been a year since I graduated and I'm still trying to figure out what the heck is going on. So come along with me. Also, just a side note about that, something that I learned in counseling is just to not put a timeline on things. Like, for example, what I just said about, okay, it's already been a year out of college and I don't know what I'm doing. So what? I think I mentioned this before, but anyway, I'm always putting timelines on stuff, and I was thinking, okay, once I've been graduated for a year, I will have adjusted to not being a student anymore, and I'll be a fully functioning adult who knows what she's doing with her life. But clearly that is not the case. And because I feel like because I put a timeline on that, because I thought, okay, I'm having this expectation that I'll have everything figured out and kind of like know what I'm doing once I'm like a year into my profession, or a year after graduating, or a year living in DC. But because I put a timeline on that, when that didn't happen, I was disappointed in myself and like my circumstances. So that's something that I'm working on right now too, is like not putting pressure on myself to have my life figured out, or like to be adjusted to something at a certain point, if that makes sense. So I guess if you take anything from today, just maybe notice if you are allowing yourself to just figure life out as it goes on, or maybe are you like putting a timeline on things and thinking, okay, in 6 months from now, I'm going to know what career I want to do, or whatever. Anyway, don't do that. Don't put pressure on yourself. You do not have to have life figured out right now. There's plenty of time. And yeah, I wanted to use this episode just to start up season 2, tell you guys about what I've been up to and what you can expect from the podcast. So in upcoming episodes, I'll talk more about like living life outside of work, creating healthy habits, adapting when things don't go your way. Probably more about the Enneagram. I also really want to be doing more episodes with guests, so I'm really excited about that. You have that to look forward to. I love hearing other people's stories too, and so I'm planning some episodes right now with some people that will be joining me, and they'll get to share their stories, and we'll talk about things that we're maybe going through together and like their experiences as well. So to finish up, we can't leave without doing a traffic jam of the week. In every episode, I like to have a traffic jam of the week, and this is, a traffic jam, an issue, a problem, something that's like super annoying that we just need to get off of our chest. So my traffic jam for the week, this week for you, is going to be one in the form of a question. Has anyone figured out how to get deli meat out of the container? I have never once in my entire 23 years been able to get like a slice of turkey from my sandwich out in one piece. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like the plastic containers that you like open and there's like a bag inside, and the corner there's always like a little tab, so you open that up. There's layers to this, but you know how like the meat is always like folded, and like I don't know how they do it, but no matter how hard I try to just find the little end and pull out a slice of meat, it always rips, like, and then I just end up with shredded meat on my sandwich. Like I just can never get a whole piece out, and that might be the dumbest thing ever. But I was thinking about that the other day, and just like, is there like a technique on how to do this? Like, is there a specific way? If anyone has that figured out, someone let me know, because and share it with the class, because I have no idea how that works. And it would be nice to know. I feel like that's a skill that everyone probably should have, right? Doesn't that just makes sense that that's something that an adult should know how to do. All right. Well, that'll conclude our first episode back. So thank you guys for listening to Traffic Jam. Seriously, I am excited to be back. There's going to be new episodes every other Monday. So this is going to come out on a Monday, and then a new episode 2 weeks from then. So stay tuned. You can find me on Instagram at Traffic Jam Podcast, and I'll be posting updates there as well. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.